I was one of the 2 million plus people who play Highguard on launch day. And the thing about that is that I would consider everyone, including me, who played Highguard on launch day, and even until it died, historians. We are all historic. We made history. Because the thing is that this game is completely lost media now, and the fact that it went from not lost media to lost media within like a month and a half, maybe even less than that, it's kind of absurd. But let's also be honest here, Highguard deserved what it got, man. They didn't make Titanfall 3, or like a spiritual successor to Titanfall. They knew what people wanted. They didn't do that. They didn't want to make something cool or unique or fun. They made a generic hero shooter with like semi-unique mechanics here and there. Like, you know, riding a horse, I guess. But that was took from Paladins, man. That was also basically just fantasy Overwatch. So I don't really get it. Don't really get what they were going with here. And also they released like a skill tree after, you know, it came out. I'm like, why didn't you release it on launch day? It was like not a bad idea. Like, where are you guys going? Anyway. But it's just frustrating, man, because like this game could have been good if they made a fantasy version of Titanfall. Dude, you know how cool that would have been? They could have had like dragons being the Titans instead, right? Like you didn't have to have Titans, right? You have to have the futuristic setting. You have like that, and then you could have this in-depth character customization like the finals, right? And you could have the semi-okay destruction physics of Highguard, which like they're pretty bad to be honest, but like you have everything destructible like that, like how the finals did, you know? And like you can have things like a horse, I guess, and stuff, as like maybe like I don't know, you can have the horse is like, okay, that's your sprint button. That's like your full-on sprint button. You have the horse, you don't even run normally, and then, but you do jump off the horse, like triple jumping and stuff. And then you can like wall run on like, I don't know, just anything cool, man. You could like have so many cool things with that. Just imagine wall running through a castle while the castle breaks down and explodes. Like, think about that. Just think about how cool that could be. And then think about like burning an entire team with a dragon. Like, and they would just be as broken as the Titans were in Titanfall, right? It would be so easy, super easy. And then also, like, the amount of creative weaponry you could have, you could have more than just guns, man. You have like a bunch of, you know, medieval and like fantasy weapons alongside guns, kind of like a Tiny Tina's Wonderland or Doom the Dark Ages, you know? Like, it would be so cool if they just did that. I'm just spitballing ideas here, man. I'm spitballing infinitely more ideas than any of the Highguard developers ever had or ever will. And that's concerning, because I don't even know how to make a game. At most, I know how to make a block move in Godot. But also, that was when my computer worked. It still doesn't. I'm still editing these videos on my phone, and also voicing over on my phone, and then grabbing footage from, you know, my PlayStation through the PlayStation app. Anyway, that's a conversation for another time, but you get my point, right? You know, it's really sucky when, you know, developers, you know, who are really passionate about something, make something that, like, was never gonna be good in the first place, like a Concord or a Highguard. And it's really sad because, like, you know, a game like Concord could have worked. Like, I had this whole idea for Concord. Here's my pitch for Concord. Concord would have been, like, you know, a space game, you know, how, like, originally it was, but it was kind of like Space Far Cry, I guess. I was kind of thinking of something like that, because you know how the characters are supposed to be, like, bounty hunters or some shit and stuff? It would be so cool if, like, Highguard was like this open world FPS and stuff where you took down bounties and like you didn't even have to go through different planets. You didn't even do that. You just explored like one big planet. Now one big planet, you were hunting down bounty hunters and you were like using a speeder bike or like something like that, and it would have been awesome. And it would be, you're doing hit jobs and you know you're engaged in a very fun cinematic story that you expect from a Sony title. Boom, that's my pitch for Concord. See, I made a better game than Concord right there. Or like I said earlier, if, you know, with Highguard, if they just make Fantasy Titanfall, I think that would have hit the spot all, like, everything, not only for me, but for a lot of people, man. That Highguard could have worked if it wasn't Highguard, you know? But, like, they could even have kept the name, even that the name is, you know, really generic, but it wouldn't be that bad, right? And it just hurts because if these guys were former Titanfall and Apex Legends devs, like, it's citing the marketing, it could have been so good, it really could have, but no, you had these developers are whining on Twitter, talking about like, oh, how anti-woke guys are harassing them. They just don't respond to anti-woke guys, ignore that criticism, look at the actual criticism, like, come on guys. Highguard, you know, and Concord, they could have been good games, they really could have. You know, Highguard and Concord, They really could. And now they're both lost media. I did play Concord's beta, but that was like, I barely knew about the game. And I didn't even know it was gonna shut down until like it shut down. Because like I remember hearing that like, oh, ex-Destiny developers were working on it, and that like the PvP in Destiny 2 was so bad. And I'm like, okay. And I tried Concord. And it actually was kind of just, if you separated Destiny, like, abilities across, like, 30 different characters, that were kind of boring looking to look at and play. But anyways, that's the end of my video. Thank you so much for watching and, like, listening to me go on a million different tangents and rants about, like, what Highguard could have been, what Concord could have been, and stuff. So anyways, have a great day, and get real, guys. Bye.